Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Live from Channel 5 studio in Belize City, it's Open Your Eyes, Start Your Morning Right with your hosts, Sabrina Daly and Isani Caetano.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Sabrina Daly.
And I'm Isani Caetano. Good morning.
And good morning, Isani.
Good
How
morning,
are you doing?
Sab. I'm good.
Good,
It's
good.
the
Feeling
beginning
rested?
of another week, yes, and I'm rejuvenated and prepared for the task ahead.
Absolutely. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first Monday for 2025, right?
Yes.
It is. And
It is
I know
the
for a
6th
lot of people,
January 2025.
it feels like the official start of the new year because we're jumping in on our first Monday. Taking the drive here to work, I saw a lot of people busy on the roads doing their exercises. And I know that this is something commonly seen around the start of the new year, people taking on their fitness goals. It even reminds me of a story that we highlighted last week, Friday, as our first bright side for the year, giving you guys some fitness tips to take on those New Year's resolutions that I know a lot of people might have where wellness and health is concerned.
Well, today is also back to school Monday for a majority of those who are enrolled in primary school and high school as well.
I can't say that it's exciting for anyone. The kids are saying they want to stay at home. The parents and even the commuters are also saying, well, we might have to wake up a little bit earlier because the buses will be busier.
The fun and joy and excitement of Christmas is now officially behind us, right? So it's
Yes.
back to school and back to getting the work done. For those of us who aren't in school but are working, we only had a few days off and it was back on the grind, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to ask you guys, though, because I know that we have some parents tuning in and probably getting those kiddos up just as early. What's the routine looking like now that we have to fit ourselves back into that regular school day? Do we have to leave earlier in the morning? And for those who don't have kids, how do we feel about back to school? Are we dreading the idea of that traffic jam, knowing that there's going to be those parents dropping off kids too?
Well, there's also for some commuters, the dread of having to get on that bus
That's
and
true.
making their way to whatever their destination is, right?
There's a lot going on in all of our lives, but we want to hear your thoughts on it as you tune in every morning with us. What's your morning routine looking like, especially today, knowing that we are officially now, as I call it, in the year of January, the first Monday and the first day back to school, as Isani mentioned. Has our routine changed since 2024? Let us know. But Isani, we have quite a few topics to jump into this morning for What's Buzzing, both on the international scene and the local scene. So let's head straight into that. What's Buzzing? Now, this one I think has been sparking quite a discussion online. I know, Isani, that when we think of journalism, we particularly think of journalists and writers, but a big part of journalism is also the visual aspect as well. Locally here in Belize, I'm not sure that we have too many cartoonists. I can only remember one person or one figure that crosses my mind back in my youth. But this one definitely has been sparking quite a conversation because the Washington Post cartoonist has resigned over paper refusal to publish a satirical cartoon of Bezos and Trump. Now, the picture, they say a picture can tell a what? 1,000 words?
Yeah.
Now this one can probably give you 2,000, especially what has followed after.
All right. Let's give it some context from the local front. You've mentioned that there haven't been too many cartoonists involved in newspaper primarily here in Belize. So my first thought goes to somewhat well-known cartoonist. His name is George Griffith. We know him as Rashead. He has been a cartoonist for umpteen years who drew for the Belize Times.
Yeah.
So as a child growing up, picking up papers and what have you, there were all these cartoons that were drawn at the back of, at the end of the print.
I remember seeing the
little
cartoon.
rat, right? And all of these sayings and what have you. So yes.
Yeah.
So satirism is part of the entire, the entire thing that is journalism, if we're to describe it as such. But in the case of Anne Telnace, where she is this Pulitzer Prize winning cartoonist who has drawn for the Washington Post for all these many years, when she decided to draw this cartoon of, and there it is, of Jeff Bezos, who is the owner of the Washington Post, Mark Zuckerberg, who is the owner of Facebook and Meta and all of its subsidiaries, and of course Sam Altman, who is the face of OpenAI. And they're presenting bags of money at the feet of what appears to be Donald Trump.
Don't forget Mickey Mouse.
And a dead Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Why a dead Mickey Mouse is because Walt Disney had to settle a $15 million lawsuit with Donald Trump that was brought over a case, if I'm not mistaken, that has to do with either libel or defamation, right? So they are essentially kneeling at his feet, presenting their gifts, so to speak, monetary gifts. The thing about this is it wouldn't seem to anybody else, without having understood the context here, as anything that is offensive or what have you. But from Ms. Telnace's perspective, it is the fact that her boss, her ultimate boss, who's Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon as well, is featured in this satire that her editor tells her that can't fly. But the editor is saying, well, we're trying to avoid a repetition. The argument is, well, repeating what? Has this been published before? No, it hasn't. This is in the context of Donald Trump returning as president. So it's not like this would have been drawn and published previously. The long and short of it, the argument has to do with freedom of press, right? What are we allowed to say? What are we allowed to publish? What are we allowed to disseminate that is within reason?
Yeah.
Even if it has to do with the owner of a company that you work for or what have you. That's what it boils down to.
You know, for me, I definitely thought of freedom of press, but I also couldn't help but think, and even here locally, the conversation that we often have when we think of media spaces and media platforms, the political influence that is sometimes very, very present with media and news outlets. When we think of here in Belize, I mean, there's the long-going conversation of certain media houses being blue or being red. And then even in the United States, there's the left and right side of media outlets. And so in this case, I certainly thought about that. I mean, obviously, I couldn't not see how Bezos wouldn't be offended by the fact that he's been painted in this light.
Well, and that's an interesting point you raise. We don't necessarily know how Jeff Bezos feels about the whole thing.
I
it's
mean,
the fact that the editor was the one who...
He's bowing down to the president and giving money to a very controversial president at that. I can't not see where that wouldn't look offensive, unless he has a really great sense of humor.
Here's another thing too, though, right? If you've been following politics in the United States leading up to the recent presidential elections, you see that very, very influential people, including Elon Musk, have aligned themselves.
Yeah, very
with
true.
The Trump campaign, so to speak. So this sort of falls within that context, right? Again, we don't know at this point how Jeff Bezos thinks or how he feels about it. But like I said, to an extent, perhaps to a great extent, if that were so, we should be able to express our thoughts and what have you. And for someone who's a Pulitzer Prize winning cartoonist, you'd probably give her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, this isn't her first rodeo.
Yeah.
But I have to pose this question to you, though, Isani, as a news editor and news director in your own right. What are your thoughts on a fellow reporter coming to you with a story that could obviously be controversial, but still sends a strong message? Because in the case of the editor, as you mentioned, he said that it poses the threat of being repetitive. What would have been your reaction to something like this had it fallen on your desk?
Well, that's an excellent question, right? And I've given it some thought, considering our own situation here, if you want to look at it from that point of view. I think there's a certain responsibility on either end of the issue, right? You should allow for the reporter in this case, in this scenario that you've drawn up, you should allow for the reporter to be able to share his or her thoughts on what is being presented, right? And then you look at what the potential impact of it will be either way, right? In terms of the material owner, in terms of the public, and what have you. So I'm simply saying that consideration has to be given all around before a decision is made to either publish or to sack a particular article in this case.
It's
so
definitely...
we've seen this before here, though.
Exactly.
Where, you know, certain information has been brought forward, and instead of allowing for it to be published, since it's a matter of public record, you know, it's stifled. And I'm not speaking solely for, well, I'm speaking generally. I'm speaking in terms of the media here in Belize, where certain information, perhaps because of the sensitive nature of it, or persons who feel as if though the publication of the information would affect them one or the other, because of their position of power, tend to stifle the information from being shared.
Quite an interesting conversation, and as we've been talking about it, there's definitely an opportunity to paint a parallel picture of how that looks locally here in Belize. It might not be the exact same situation, especially when we think of cartoonists. I was also thinking to myself, is this a popular field of work that we're seeing in journalism anymore? Because I know in Belize we spoke of only one, but in the United States even, is it popular? Is it only in the spaces of written media? And do we see this as a field of work that people might be interested in going into even?
Very well put.
Yeah. A second, though, story that I saw online that has definitely been sparking quite the outrage, and this one might really bother some of you recreational drinkers. And that's because, I don't know, Isani, if you learned that drinking alcohol gives you cancer. Now, there was a news story.
I had a beer yesterday. Okay, let's go. I had a beer, perhaps one or two yesterday, and I tried to ponder this whole thing, right? Against the fact that almost anything you consume or you're exposed to has now become carcinogenic. It's cancerous, right? And I'm thinking to myself, man, this is fine hops.
All right. Before we give our comment on it, I really want to get an audio on this video because I have to get your thoughts. There are certain information that was shared that I think might really spark quite a conversation among viewers and, of course, as well as over here. So let's jump quickly to that.
Surgeon General's suggestion that alcoholic beverages contain a warning label about an increased risk of cancer comes as a surprise to a lot of people. But, you know, back in 1988, the World Health Organization said that alcohol causes cancer. And it's been a number of decades since then that there's been increasing evidence of that. And in fact, the Surgeon General mentioned 7 specific types of cancer. So mouth, back of the throat, then the esophagus, swallowing tube, and the colon. And then what happens from there? The alcohol gets absorbed, goes to the liver. There's an increased risk of liver cancer. And then there's an increased risk of breast cancer. You know, why would that be? First of all, alcohol, it turns out, is a direct toxin to cells. It can actually be soluble in water and in fat. It can go right through cell membranes and into the insides of the cells and damage them. Alcohol in the liver gets metabolized to something called acetaldehyde, which is even more toxic to cells. In addition to that, alcohol increases the risk of breast cancer. Why would that be? Well, it does increase estrogen levels. And if you have a breast tumor that is fueled by estrogen, then that's a potential mechanism. I know it's confusing, right? Years ago in the 1980s, there was the so-called French paradox that said that if you have a glass or two of red wine, maybe it's good for your heart. That information, those studies have come under question. It turns out it's really tough to do those studies. There's a lot of what's called confounding variables. What about exercise, diet, environmental toxins, family history? All those things were tough to compute and to factor into those studies. And even now, it's hard to know exactly what an individual person's risk is. And I think if there ever was a time to speak to your healthcare provider about your individual risk, it's now.
Quite an interesting piece
Yes.
over there. Though, I had to check some of the reactions from people who would have seen this piece online, and there was this one comment. Of course, a lot of people have been saying, "Hey, my great grandmother drank wine or drank liquor like a sailor, and she lasted so long." But there was this one comment that struck me, and this person said, "So you're telling me that people are surprised that the flammable liquid we drink that can cause kidney failure and death if you drink too much of it causes cancer?" And it was the type of irony in that really got me thinking, you know what? You're right.
I'll share this briefly and then we'll move on.
Okay.
So in Belize, there's this culture, right, where our pastime is based around drinking socially or what have you. So if that's the case, then so many thousands of us are exposed to cancer based on our behavior and our social norms and so on and so forth, which is something that we should think about, Sab.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we have one more topic that we want to jump into for What's Buzzing, and this one is more on the local scene. I remember, Isani, it was just late last year that we were talking about the increase in traffic accidents that took place. One of them, notably, was the accident that caused over 10 students from the Ocean Academy in Keycocker come very close to losing their life. In fact, some of them did. And so it's been just about a month since we saw one of the students fight for his life and lose that battle. And we just want to say that our thoughts are with the family members of this young man that lost his life.
Well, in light of the unfortunate passing of Alex Bainton, his mother has raised some pertinent questions with respect to the procedures that ought to have been in place in terms of transporting these kids from the island, and then, of course, to ferrying them from the island and then transporting them from Belize City to Orange Walk. So questions with respect of the van, seatbelt, and all of these things have been raised. I also read that this will be followed at some point with some kind of either legal advice with action to be taken going forward or what have you. So it's interesting in terms of the developments that's taking place with this particular incident.
And certainly we will be following this if there's anything that comes out of it, especially on the legal side as well, Isani. All right, well, that does it for What's Buzzing. If you have any thoughts on either of the topics mentioned, let us know in the comments section. And if you think that there's a topic that we should be discussing that's currently trending both online, internationally, or locally, we would definitely also consider talking about that as well. Moving now, Isani, into Eye on the News.
Since the beginning of the year, as a matter of fact, going into 2025, we've been discussing politics and the fact that this year is an election year, and both sides in terms of the mass parties are already preparing themselves for the general elections to be called, and of course the robust campaign that we should be seeing as members of the public. But while there has been development on the UDP side, there's been some questions in respect of these developments. Now, to be clear, on Friday there was a meeting held by Albert Era Rep Tracy Panton, and several other supporters of the Alliance for Democracy faction, right? And this meeting and the subsequent pronunciations in the media has raised questions regarding the position of the High Court on this matter. You would recall, Sabrina, that all of this is before the court, and the court has pretty much laid out what is to take place in terms of a resolution.
Certainly.
And what both parties in this case can and cannot say or do in the open. And so the question of whether, you know, the Alliance for Democracy under the leadership of
Tracy Panton.
Tracy Panton has been openly flouting the position of the court. Now, I say all of that to say this. Joining us from Jamaica this morning is Dr. Chris Malcolm. He's online with us via Zoom. He is the attorney for Shine Barrow. He's also preeminent in the area of law and what have you within the Caribbean. Good morning, Dr. Malcolm.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you doing? Good morning to you,
Are
listeners. And
fine. Yes, sir. We're good. We're good. It's Monday morning. We're trying to get things off the ground. What I want from you, Dr. Malcolm, is for you to share your thoughts with us, a perspective based on what you've seen taking place over the past 2 days.
Okay, a couple of things. Let me start where I think we should.
Sure.
The first is that I don't ordinarily, or at all for that matter, litigate my matters in the public square. I do that in court. However, there are instances where it becomes necessary to make a comment simply because there seems to be an approach on another side which is disrespectful of the court and the process of the court, and where the public needs to be better informed. And there's one other comment I wish to make, and to remind us all that we function in a democracy, certainly Belize does, where there are three critical arms of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. They are critical arms of government, and it is important that we all bear in mind their relevance, their importance, and give respect to them. It is in that context that I dare say that any leader in any country, anywhere in the world, who is unprepared to follow the rules of a court and to act in accordance with its orders has no place being the leader anywhere at all in the world. Because you must honor the court. It is the court that operates as that critical buffer between the importance and might of the legislature and the executive and the ordinary man. And if it is that you have a situation where anyone at all operating anywhere is flouting court orders, then there is a significant problem. And that should never be the case coming from anyone at all, certainly not anyone who is a leader or who aspires to leadership. So those are my critical comments at the beginning. Now you're asking me directly about what I have seen. I have seen some instances, and I'm speaking in this way because I'm a lawyer in the matter. So clearly I get information being sent to me, which I'm able to use for the benefit of my client and for the benefit of the court. Because what it is, we now have a matter which is in court. The court has made a number of orders, two in particular, so far in this matter. And in one of them, certainly the court confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt that at present and until there's a contrary order of the court, the legitimate leader of the UDP is Moses Shine Barrow, and that the executive with him is what is appropriate. Now, for anyone at all reading what the court has said to conclude, until the court determines otherwise, that there is any question of Barrow being a former leader of the party and so on, is plain wrong, or a preparedness to be mischievous. Because the court has said clearly, and in fact, not only is it a question of being mischievous, it's a question of being contemptuous of the court, and that is something which should not be countenanced by anyone. I must say, in the circumstances, that I'm very proud of my client and the way he has behaved, or my clients rather, because they're clients, and the way they have behaved. Unlike others, you have not seen them going around touting that they've had victories in the court or any such thing. They have simply behaved as they must, in a manner to say this matter is before the court and it is to be allowed to be properly ventilated in the court, and that is guidance that certainly as a lawyer I have given, and it is being followed. I don't know and cannot speak to what guidance others may have received or have not received for that matter, but I would suspect that if they are being properly guided, they would be first guided to the point of saying the court is in session, the court has made appropriate orders, they should be complied with, and nothing should be done to detract from that. To be clear to the people of Belize, the court made an order that said that the status quo ante, meaning prior to the purported meeting of the 20th of October 2024, is reverted, and that reversion allows for the party leader, the legitimate party leader, to be treated as the leader and for him to carry out such functions as are appropriate in accordance with the constitution of the party. So we should not fool anybody or try to make statements to in any way at all confuse the issue or to confuse the people of Belize. And I would wish that we do not have this continuing, and that I quite frankly, I'm speaking as a lawyer, and I invite, quite frankly, the lawyer on the other side, Mr. Peter Knox, preeminent King's Counsel out of England, or anyone else, to speak to refute anything that I've just said, or to put a side that is different from what I've given. Because the only thing I know how to do is to properly reflect what is, and not to seek to be mischievous. And I'm not at all suggesting that counsel, certainly not Mr. Knox or anyone else, has been giving advice for there to be mischief. But I'm saying that I've seen some very mischievous videos and postings that have been made, which I think are plain wrong. And it is in circumstances where I'm saying that the court should be respected, and people must really measure in the scale the way the respective parties have been behaving, and then determine for themselves who has been most respectful of the process and who it is that has shown some level of humility and balance, which is necessary in the circumstances. Thank you.
Dr. Malcolm, allow me to jump in with a question here. When we say things have reverted to status quo ante prior to October 2020 of last year, this allows your client to proceed with the selection of standard bearers in the respective constituencies ahead of the 2025 general elections, correct?
No, let me be clear on this.
Okay.
Leadership has its incidence, meaning as a leader of anything, whether it is a company, a country, a party, you have certain powers that are granted to you to maintain good order and to do what is in the best interest of the institution. So whatever my client is able to do or is required to do to ensure that that happens, he's properly entitled so to do. I must say this, that there was an application made by the other side for there to be certain injunctions, so to speak, regarding selections and so on. That matter has not been disposed of by the court, and the court has put no prohibition on at all on the leader doing what leaders usually do. So for me, the question is not whether the leader is doing what he's able to do. The question must be for anybody, is anything that the leader is doing at the moment contrary to the constitution of the UDP? And the short answer is no. And I depart from the constitution. That is what guides. The constitution of the UDP, that is what I'm talking about.
So my second question is, you guys are also filing again today. Is there a schedule for filing any matters today with respect of what has been happening? I ask simply because, if I'm not mistaken, a few weeks ago, there was a move to either charge or imprison for a 3-month period Mrs. Panton based on perhaps either flouting or defying the orders of the High Court in the first instance.
No, let me clarify
Okay.
that. What happened is that after the injunction was granted, there were actions that were taken which were deemed, and I use the word deemed, to have been in breach of that court order, and an application was made to hold Ms. Panton in contempt of court for acting in a manner which was flouting the order of the court. That application has not been heard. At the same time, when that application was made, Ms. Panton, in her behalf, on her behalf, had made an application asking for there to be a holding of the hand of the party leader regarding selection of candidates and so on. That application has also not been heard. What is clear is that on the last occasion we were before the court confirmed that the injunction that was first granted stands, and that is set out in an order. And there's no doubt about that. So we have to now bear in mind what is happening, though, is that the court has very graciously put this matter on an expedited track for hearing to be on the 31st of March. And I say gracious because this is a situation for the public to know, where the judge has been working over the vacation period, as have we. There is a filing to be done today, which is a reply to a defense and counterclaim which was made. And I can assure you that my legal team has worked over the holidays, and we are in a position to make that filing today, and there are certain other steps to be taken, and we are simply doing what we need to do in accordance with the court order, because the court gave a direction as to what is to be done when, and all I'm asking for or suggesting is that the parties be responsible and to remember that the court has ordered and we should do nothing. None of us, including myself as lawyer, should do nothing that is contrary to the order of the court. And you would notice, for example, that although I'm speaking to you, I have said nothing about the substance of the matter, because I do not, again, as I say, intend to litigate my matter in the public square. All I'm doing is saying that what I am observing is not in accordance with the letter of the order or the spirit in which it was made. And I'm saying all parties simply need to step back, relax, and do what is required. The court has, for example, suggested that the parties should try for mediation. How can you mediate in circumstances where there is a clear flouting of a court order or acting in a manner which is not showing the level of regard and respect which is required? All you're doing is setting up a basis for there to be no mediation. And that is not in the best interest of anybody either.
Dr. Malcolm, you mentioned that we are looking at somewhere around March 6 for the court to resolve this matter.
No, not March 6, not March 6. Let me clarify. The hearing date.
The hearing date, March 6.
Is March 31.
Okay. So my question is...
And thereafter, let me be clear, that is when the matter is to be heard. Whether it is heard on 1 day or 2 days, we're not sure at the moment. And after the matter is heard, as you would imagine, the judge will need to then make a decision, which is unlikely to be made on the same day, but I would never be here to prejudge what a court might do.
So my question then is, what happens if an election is called before that? There's the very real scenario that we could get a date as early as February. What takes place then if an election is called prior to this matter being resolved?
There's no problem at all. The leader, until the court decides otherwise, is Moses Shineborough, and the court will not hear this matter until the 31st. So there's no discrepancy. There's no problem at all. The court and that is why I started by pointing out that there are three critical arms of government, the judiciary being one. The judiciary is an arm of government, and the judiciary has ordered that the matter is to be heard on a particular date. So whatever else is happening, the judiciary has no control over when an election is called, and the judiciary is not acting by reference to that. What the judiciary is doing is acting in a manner which is respectful of timelines and respectful of due process being accorded in relation to a matter which is before the court. The judiciary calls its own tune to ensure that there's fairness and justice in relation to all matters that come before the court.
Based on your observations of what has been taking place so far, do you believe that at this point in time there's any possibility of mediation to take place?
I'm saying there has always been possibility, and I have always indicated that the parties must speak, and the record will show that we have made overtures even since before I formally got involved in the matter. I will say no more, except to say the records are there, and we have very good records that have been kept. Certainly, I have kept very good records.
Have you seen any instance in terms of your career in law, any perhaps case study that speaks to this kind of a situation?
Where what? Where
there's this sort of infighting within a political party that ends up before the court for a decision to be rendered?
I have not been involved in any such matter, no. But is there constant infighting in political parties, in football clubs, and in all sorts of things? Of course. A political party is an organization like any other, and they're organized differently in different countries, clearly. Some have constitutional protection granted to them, some have laws which allow for them, others are very often set up without being formally incorporated, and so on. There are different methodologies relating to how they're established. But in any body at all, including in government, frankly, you will have infighting and you will have factions. You will have situations where one set of persons will say, look, we are the leader. In fact, in Jamaica, many years ago, we had what was called the Gang of Five, which was a so-called gang of five persons who had challenged the authority of Edward Seaga when he was then leader of the Jamaica Labour Party. And there's a song that was actually made about it, because Mr. Seaga famously came out in the public square to say to those persons who had moved away in the Gang of Five, he famously came out to say, look, I want you all to light a candle, sing a Sankey, and find your way back home. And that was Lavender put that in song.
Any final words from you, Dr. Malcolm, in respect of what has been taking place and perhaps the way forward as of today?
My final words simply would be to say, look, I expect, not hope, expect that going forward, all parties will act in a manner which is respectful of the court. And to say further, that my respect and regard for the court is such that as an officer of the court, I am never happy, nor will I ever be, to see anyone, including any client of mine, flouting a court order. And it is in those circumstances where, if, for example, I'm ever in a situation where I'm to advise, and there's a need to, for example, renew a contempt of court application, I would be the first to advise it, because I do not believe anyone should act in a manner which is disrespectful of the court and its processes. It is wrong, and it sends a very wrong signal to the public.
Thanks a lot for having joined us, Dr. Malcolm. We will be catching up with you a bit later on today for the press brief, correct?
Whatever well, I don't know what my schedule is, but if you reach out to me, I will respond and respond responsibly.
All right. Thanks again.
Take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And to Belize and to the public, and the new year, I hope will go as wonderfully as we all wish for it to be. With peace, with joy, with good tidings, and with responsible conduct on the part of all of us. Have a wonderful day.
You too,
you
sir.
too. All right, that does it for our Eye on the News. We want to say a huge thank you to Dr. Christopher Malcolm for taking the time to speak with us this morning. Moving now into our weather update to find out what we can expect today as it relates to the weather.
Good morning. Mainly fair weather will prevail today, with some changes expected later ahead of an approaching cold front. The 24-hour forecast: skies will be sunny with a few cloudy spells today, becoming cloudy at times. Showers will be isolated this morning. Then a few showers and isolated thunderstorms will develop mainly over inland and northern areas this afternoon, and then spread to most places by tonight. High temperatures for today will reach around 83 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 87 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 72 degrees Fahrenheit in the mountains. For tonight, low temperatures will reach around 72 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 66 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 61 degrees Fahrenheit in the hills. Winds over the open sea will be from the east to southeast, shifting to the north to northwest by tonight at 10 knots or less. And then sea conditions will be choppy to moderate. And then low tides occur around 8:53 this morning and at 9:56 tonight. High tides at 2:59 this afternoon and then at 3:52 tomorrow morning. The moon will rise at 11:25 this morning and set at 12:09 tomorrow morning, and then sunrise is at 6:24 this morning and sunset at 5:32 this evening. The extended forecast. A few showers and isolated thunderstorms or periods of light to moderate rain will occur around the country on Tuesday. Then activity will linger mostly along the coast and south on Tuesday night. And this has been this morning's weather report from the National Meteorological Service.
All right, there you have it, your update from the folks at the Met Service. Moving now into our show lineup, we have a great lineup for you guys this morning. In our first conversation, we'll be unpacking the lingering tension of the holidays and how we can learn to leave heavy emotions in the past.
Our second conversation is the continuation of one we held last week with the organizers of the Night of Cycling for Living Legends. They will be here with us for a second conversation to discuss how that event went and where they go forward from here.
I heard that was a smashing success. But moving into our third conversation, we'll be also discussing the journey of the Tribe Fitness Club and the successful events they'd like to bring into the new year. And so that's what we have for you this morning, but we got to take a quick first break, and when we come back, it's all about the impact and recovery behind the holidays. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Yo.
I'm connected.
We're connected.
Create the perfect broadband bundle that fits your style with Smart Connect. With the Junior Bundle, get 50% off your national calls and up to 6 gigabytes of data at no extra cost. Get postpaid added on for an additional cost of only $25 with the Prime Bundle. Stay connected with unlimited smart-to-smart calls, plus 6,300 megabytes of data and free international minutes. For the family, get the Binge Watchers bundle with Netflix add-on for only $28.13 more. This bundle gives you 4 profiles with unlimited streaming on multiple devices. Visit a showroom near you to sign up and personalize your own bundle combination with Smart Connect. Smart, bringing people together.
My name is Hermain Vega. El Patio Grill has been using Belize Bank for over 25 years. We only use Belize Bank at our restaurant. That's why we were able to win this trip to Europe. I had never been to Europe. We found out it was Madrid and we were excited and we went to this football match. The teams reached before the game and everybody was just outside, you know. You can't explain, the noise just roared like 3 blocks down the street, but when you got in there and you saw 70,000 people in there, that was amazing. I couldn't believe it was happening. I had to pinch myself to make sure it was real, you know, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, I'd say. My lucky plus one was my son. He's 18 years old, so he was really excited and he enjoyed it as well. He said it's his best trip ever, so it's a priceless experience that we got. Belize Bank has always been there for me. Whatever transactions or whatever I need to do, they're always there for me. I would recommend everybody to use Belize Bank. It's the oldest bank in our country and they continue to do their best.
Technology is ubiquitous and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We are heading straight into our first conversation this morning. And if you missed it, it's all about the impact and recovery behind holiday stress. This morning we have with us a licensed psychologist, Dr. Susanna Hoy Mitchell, and she's going to be here with us to unpack some of that holiday stress, what it might look like, and how we can head into 2025 feeling refreshed and free of those negative emotions. Good morning, Dr. Susanna, and thank you so much for joining us again. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So when we think of holiday stress, oftentimes I would imagine it comes from being around a lot of friends and family members that you might have not seen in a really long time, you know? So these are like those unspoken conversations that have just now come to fruition because of the dinners that we're having, the gatherings that we're having.
Yeah.
When you think of holiday stress, what comes to your mind as a psychologist?
You know, multiple different things. Really, it's kind of a sense of emotional, mental, and physical strain that is usually added on because of the holidays. You know, it's not only about the hustle and bustle, but it's more about the weight of the heightened expectation of Christmas.
That's true.
The perfect family gathering, like you said, navigating those tricky family dynamics, and then most importantly, the financial burnout that happens. You know, it's a lot of burden that people put on themselves and societal pressures. So we do feel that burden. You know, also during this time, some people do experience or resurface feelings of grief and loneliness because of loved ones that have passed throughout the year and are missing from our dinner table on Christmas. So
that's very true.
Many people experience a whole range of emotions during this time.
Let's perhaps separate the financial aspect of it from the sentimental.
Yeah.
Many of us get worked up going into Christmas. Where are we going to find the money to buy gifts, to you know, buy food, to have friends and family over and what have you? And many of us tend to overspend if that were the case, right? So that when we think of MAGA season, it's not just that you're now waiting your next paycheck to be able to balance up. It's the weight of the financial burden that also plays on your mind as to how you're going to make that happen in the interim.
Yeah.
Talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people, this is a time of happiness, joy, gathering, but in the back of their mind, they're thinking about that. Their bank account, how January is going to look, you know, the bills that aren't being paid during December. You know, it's a hard time for people, and the impact can be both mental and physical. Mentally, people experience increased anxiety, depression, irritability, and like I said, burnout, right? So by the time New Year's comes around, they feel so emotionally drained. physically, like I had mentioned a little bit before, people experience a weakened immune system, you know, digestive issues, headaches. So during this time, it's all about joy and happiness, but you can have severe effects from the stress of the season as well.
So does managing the stress come with preparing for it prior to, as in not overextending yourself where you feel that burnout coming, not spending too much if you know that you have to have money in time for January's bills? Does managing that stress in 2025 look like preparing for it the year prior?
You know, I think that yes, 100%. I think you can start from now if you know that that's a season, because it's not about saying, okay, don't do it, right? Because we can say that, and then when December comes, we don't.
Still
yes, exactly. But so it's just preparing. It's more about preparation, but focusing more on not necessarily the spending, but the actual value of the time spent with your loved ones, what you want to experience. So an important thing to do right now is start reflection, right? Reflection on the past year, what went well. Yes, we can focus on what we need to improve, but we don't want to get into what we call rumination, which is kind of like that dwelling on the negatives, right? Dwelling on the failures, the challenges that we have. We want to look at that so we can know how to improve for 2025, but it's more of just a reflection on, yeah, that went really well. I'm going to focus on that for the next year. I'm going to try to incorporate more of that for next year.
I want to take the conversation a bit more to the side of the gatherings that we spoke of. That is inevitable almost when we think of the holiday times. Friends and family will come together, and even those dysfunctional situations, you're going to have to face them one way or another. What is your advice from a psychology perspective to persons trying to navigate these more dysfunctional type of family settings? And how to go through that more healthily in 2025.
Yeah, you know, just based on our society, we're much more of a close-knit, keeping our family close, and kind of more of the tolerating a lot of those negative emotions. However, I would suggest more setting clear boundaries with our family members and friends or people that you feel drain your energy, right?
That's difficult though, when you are in a family dynamic where it feels like almost setting boundaries is being rude.
Yes, exactly.
Thoughts on that, Asani?
Well, the thing is, when you're in an environment where you have members of your family present, you can't always expect that everything will go smooth.
Yeah,
right? Because there are differences in personalities. There are some of us who hold on to things from our childhood.
Yeah.
So all of that is at play, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's up to you, the individual, to be able to set certain boundaries to avoid the conflict that would arise from having to deal with that kind of friction.
Yeah, you know, a lot of times we just kind of grin and bear it. Yes, that does get us through some more minor conflicts, but when things are more heated, during this time we are drinking a little bit more, our inhibition gets lower, and things then tend to escalate. Yeah. You know, and that's why removing yourself from a situation where you know might damage a relationship is better than staying there and trying to go through conflict resolution during this time. You know, yes, we want to be around family, but there's nothing wrong with saying, you know, I'm going to leave a little bit earlier before things get a little bit heated. I am going to avoid a certain person, not be rude, but not spend as much time, because I know when I spend more time with that person, my anxiety builds or my anger builds, right? So again, it's just boundaries, and it's not about telling people off or being rude, but it's more of like, let's touch on that in 2025. Let's not talk about that today. Let's have a happy day today. You know, so just making people know where you stand, because that's really important as well. But then also having your right to not engage.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that we often reference when we look at the start of a new year is kind of like that reset in goals and resolutions for our physical body in January. What's your advice to persons taking care of themselves mentally in this way, which is just as important?
Yeah, I think they go hand in hand, right? You know, I don't recommend that we don't focus on physical, but like you said, we join the mental into that. Even when it comes to physical, and I'll tell you more about mental, but even when it comes to physical, I more recommend that we take small, achievable goals instead of having these more like pipe dreams for 2025. You know, let's say it is weight loss, because a lot of people do engage in that in January January. You know, take it month by month. Set, like I said, smaller goals that we feel like we're going to accomplish, because then when January passed and we didn't accomplish much, we feel that, yes, exactly, we feel that failure and we get discouraged.
We say next year, we'll try again next year.
So make your goals smaller, make your goals a little bit more achievable, but then also let's incorporate mental health. So mindfulness exercises can be really important.
What's a mindfulness exercise?
So really, mindfulness is really just staying present and in the moment. So having more of an active role in your life rather than just passively going by. So some exercises could be meditation, grounding, deep breathing. We can practice this all throughout our day, or we can say we're going to set a goal to practice some mindfulness 10 minutes in the morning every day. Include our positive affirmations and try to set our day up for success. Really, if we take that time in the morning and focus on those goals, we're much more likely throughout the day to continue with those goals, to be mindful of what we are eating, of what we are doing throughout the day.
So just 10 minutes of mindfulness could be the first stage in living a mentally healthier state in 2025.
Definitely.
10 minutes, guys. We can do that together. 10 minutes of just sitting with yourself. You know, a lot of people might say, though, that's really challenging because we're so focused on what's happening next.
Yeah.
If I try to sit here and meditate, I'm thinking about what I have to do midday, what I want to eat for lunch.
Here's the thing. I would want to agree with you where that is concerned, but I don't necessarily agree with you where that is concerned.
Okay.
Simply because when you wake up in the morning, you could use that 10 minutes before you even get out of bed to do anything. You could say, you know what? Let me take the next 10 minutes and just reflect on where I am and the whole mindfulness exercise of it all.
So is it about reflecting on where you are in that moment, or is it to just not think for 10 minutes?
It could be both. So let's say people with anxiety struggle with overthinking, right? And so if we try then to focus our mind on something, what happens is, like what you mentioned, your mind starts to race. So for that person, I would recommend not thinking, right? Just being in that moment. And really, mindfulness is being aware of your surroundings. So you're just sitting in that moment, listening to the birds or the traffic or your kids playing, just being present for those 10 minutes. And like you said, we spend so much other time doom scrolling on our phone, on social media. If you kind of look at that amount of time, if we just take 10 minutes from that and focus on ourselves, we can see a really great impact on our mental health.
What are your thoughts on consuming or the overconsumption of social media and what it does to us mentally as well? It might not be the same for every person, but I know a lot of young people and even adults, they overconsume, you know, social media.
Yeah.
What does that do to us mentally?
You know, it kind of puts us in a sense of a false reality. We are just so focused on other people's lives as well, and we have to understand that that is only a portion of their lives. That is not even their reality. So really, we are consuming information that is not quite accurate, right? Sometimes it puts us into a state of depression, feeling like, oh wow, my life could be or could look like this. We do that comparison, which can be really unhealthy. Especially for kids, well, that's a whole other story, right? How it affects them. But I just think it's more of like a mindless activity. I think some people already feel burnt out, and so that just helps them kind of go through the motion and not really engage in something that feels really difficult for them.
I read something that called it artificial dopamine.
Yeah.
So here's the thing though, right? If keeping up with the Joneses, proverbially speaking, was a challenge before social media.
Yeah.
Now, in the advent of social media and the fact that everyone's life is out there for public display, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I want to be as successful as you are.
Yeah.
I don't know how real that is to you. Perhaps it's a facade you're putting on for your profile.
For sure.
Right? And even if you are successful, I don't know what challenges you would have overcome to arrive at where you are. I'm only looking at the end result, and I'm, you know,
that's very true.
Wanting to do the same, but I don't know what all it takes to get there. And when I fall short of those expectations, fall into depression.
Because people don't post the challenges. They don't post the L's, as the young kids call it. They only post when they win.
Exactly, yeah. And so, you know, that, like I said, that comparison really makes us feel like, well, I can never get there. Look where I am and where that person is. And so we don't even try because we're not putting in the effort because we think that that is just way above or way far beyond where we can reach. Instead of spending that time focusing on ourselves and making small achievements every day to build up to where we want to be, not necessarily where that person on social media is, but where we can see ourselves in the future. You know, that's also what kind of New Year's resolutions are about. Instead of only making it about a physical aspect, think about where you want your life to go this year. What else you want to incorporate? Maybe it's, you know, building a higher job position or having a better relationship with someone. Put the time and energy into things that are more meaningful in your life, that you can actually feel and see the changes.
My final area that I want to take the conversation is the inevitable New Year's resolution conversation that we have around 2025. It's kind of a mixed bag in reactions that we would get whenever we talk about New Year's resolution. It was just earlier or last week that me and Isani were talking, and he looked more of it as a continuation of what he's been working on the year prior. Some people might just say they don't believe in New Year's resolutions, period. What do you make of New Year's resolution and the psychological impact that comes with it when we think of starting anew? A lot of people might say, look, that doesn't work. Thoughts on it?
You know, I think that it can be very positive, especially when we find ourselves in a place where we're struggling. Right? Maybe our New Year's resolution can be, I'm going to seek help because my stress and my anxiety is just so overwhelming that I can't function, right? So my New Year's resolution would be to invest in myself, seek out mental health professional help, and to get that ball rolling for seeing a better me. I don't see a negative side of it. I think, again, when we set these New Year's resolutions so grand, and then we don't make any change towards them, that's where I could see the harmful effects of it. But bettering ourselves, I don't think is necessarily a negative thing. I think we can all be better in some area.
There's always room for improvement.
Yes, of course.
Well, as we wrap up this conversation, I have to say a huge thank you for joining us, Dr. Susanna. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers?
Like I said, just make it small, actionable goals. Every single day, do one small thing for your mental health to better yourself, and you're going to see the results at the end of this year.
Well, thank you so much for your insights. We're going to take a quick break now, but when we come back, it's all about a recap and an overview of the Night of Cycling Living Legends. We're going to have that conversation when we come back.
Whether you're enjoying the outdoors,
finally here at the Fort George Hotel and Spa. This is nice.
Or stuck in the office.
How can I help you today?
When it comes to finding the perfect frames and lens for your eyes, what you do makes all the difference. Elevate your eye vision. Choose eyewear that reflects your lifestyle. Quartz Optical. Value you can see.
Coming up, these chefs and mixologists produce their creative best for their biggest party yet. This steel band has been making a difference for over 40 years. An island filled with beauty, a vibrant culture, and an iconic natural attraction. Now, where can this be? It's all next on this station.
Lain ka ba Elmer Shua? Ay join sa kahilan sa Ecopal Tree Lodge. Kero ni kahilan ay lain sa Ecopal, kakui bartending, kakui an kero ni mano lain. Lain ni usara Belize Bank mobile app. Hanak na usara uta ana ATM, uting card. Araw kay balbas changkiro na sa usara ut kolore na notification chira phone na mensajes. Araw ta kina kolore, ta kala harup ci tumin sa usara. Ut araw ta naw nak sa chabilo kong gatumin.
The Ministry of Sustainable Development and Climate Change through the Department of the Environment, Belize Solid Waste Management Authority, in collaboration with Belize Recyclers Association, the Scouts Association, and Oceana Belize presents a National Cleanup Day 2025 under the theme Our Belize, Our Responsibility. Bin it. Join us on Saturday, January 18, 2025, starting at 6 a.m. for a countrywide activity calling on schools, churches, communities, leaders, youth group, government ministries, NGOs, and individuals across the country to organize your own event. Select a location in your community and register today. In honor of Honorable George Price on National Service Day, we invite you to join us in keeping our communities clean, whether it's picking up trash along the highways, streets, and rivers, beautifying a park, painting a public space, or planting a tree. Your efforts can make a meaningful impact. Choose a location in your community. Register online today by visiting the Ministry and the Department of the Environment Facebook pages or contact any of our partner organizations. Deadline for registration is January 6, 2025. We need champions like you to make a huge impact. It's simple yet powerful way to improve the environment and create a beautiful, cleaner and safer place for all of us. For more information, call 828-4855 or 822-0160. Let's unite for a cleaner Belize.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you've been waiting for. In this corner, we have the masters of limitless power and unbeatable connections. Pioneers of 4G LTE in Belize. It's the undefeated champion, Smart. And in the other corner, struggling to keep up, it's the other guy. Fight! Tired of getting blow after blow from a plan with the other guys? It's time to tap out and join the winning postpaid plan provider. Smart's postpaid plans are a total knockout to the competition, and they have once again powered up their postpaid plans. Sign up for one of Smart's boosted postpaid power plans today and experience the victory of superior service. Smart, bringing people together.
We approached the Social Security Board to renovate the aerodromes to have a better safety margins and to create a better riding experience to the users. The first project was the Sir Barboan International Airport. The runway was extended, widened up to 40 feet. Taxiway was also included, markings. We also constructed the office here. We had lighting added to it so we could have night flights. The second project we took on was Keycaulker. We did major improvements. We added width lights to the runway, parking space. And then the third project we got financing was for the Placense Aerodrome. So we extended the runway into the lagoon and displaced the threshold. All these projects were done from funding from Social Security, from the investment fund. It's important for the contributors to make their monthly payments to Social Security. That money is invested wisely in projects such as ours. It earns interest and they in turn get return on their payments that they make.
And welcome back. For our second conversation this morning, as we mentioned prior to our commercial break, we are joined by Kurt Kut-Kelvin. He's an event coordinator. Good morning, Kurt.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And he is accompanied by Oswald Bowman. He was here with us last week to talk a bit about the living legends.
Yes.
And of course, joining him is cross-country cycling legend Kenrick Halliday. Yes. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Isani. Good morning, Sabrina.
And thanks so much for joining us and giving us a recap of what we understand was a complete success over the weekend.
Let's get into what took place on Saturday night with the Night of the Living Legends. We have with us here Kenrick Halliday, and I know that you are front and center of all the picture taking and that event along with your other former cycling colleagues.
Yeah.
Let's start with the feeling, Mr. Halliday.
Well, the feeling was great, and I had all the time think about when they're giving things to people and now when they die, why not give them the roses when they're living?
Yes.
Absolutely.
You know, and so I kind of look at it as something great because everybody's face was light up, you know. Yeah. We have met people that have from years gone by, now at present, and it was nice.
For those who might have missed the first conversation that we had and might not even be so familiar with your, I'd say, part in cycling history here in Belize, give us a bit of an overview of what your journey was like as a cyclist.
Well, as a cyclist, I started out from about 14.
How long ago was that?
About 1970.
Wow.
Yeah. And I quit when I was 23. Mm-hmm. And in those years, I won 4 times. I came 1 second and 4 wins. Mm-hmm. And I break the record. I break all the record that was in that time. And I won 4 times.
What was your inspiration, or who was your inspiration to become a cyclist and to put yourself out there as an athlete?
Well, to get there, I used to do little boxing in school. But I lost one time when I was maybe about 12. This guy was older, you know, and you hit him and like, he was kind of tough. So I buck him, and that's illegal. I didn't know the principal saw that. But I said, I'm not going back into that if somebody's going to judge me. So I use this grilling behavior when riding. And I went into cycling. So I said I had to beat him outright. So I practice hard, I do everything, and I always try to win alone until I find another way to do it with the crowd and still beat him.
Mm-hmm. I want to get Mr. Kut-Kelvin in the conversation simply because we didn't have you here on our first conversation about the Living Legends event that was held over the weekend. I think what a lot of people might be interested to know is your connection to cycling. You represent Belize in the diaspora, but you're also very much still connected to all things that you're passionate about here in Belize.
Very much so, Sabrina. Thank you for that question. Again, my name is Kurt Kut-Kelvin. I am originally from Pomona, Stan Creek Valley. Came to Belize to go to high school at Wesley, and that's where I picked up cycling at about 16 years old. So not as young as Doc, but I only rode 3 years. My culmination of cycling was at the 1984 Olympics. So I represented Belize in the Olympics.
Wow.
And my first cycling team was called
Salcott Bocal.
Salcott Bocal, with Mr. Bowman here being the bow, Leslie Saldana being the Sal, Mr. Cal, and then myself. So from there, we've always been involved in cycling. Now I live in San Antonio, Texas, where we've raised our family after the military, and I kind of lead the San Antonio Belize community, where we do a lot of events for the Belizeans in the San Antonio community. And so Mr. Bowman lives in New York, and he has a podcast, Bike Chat, and when the one episode he had me on, Mr. Halliday was actually on. And after that episode, Mr. Bowman called me and says, Kurt, we need to do something for these people while we're alive.
Yeah.
So I've been pretty busy. I have 2 businesses that I'm growing. One in real estate, where I'm helping a lot of people from the East Coast and the West Coast move to Texas. And the other is teaching financial literacy, which is very needed in every community in America.
Yeah.
So I tell him I cannot be integrally involved, but I could provide feedback to you on how to get an event started. And he has provided tremendous insight and allowed me to guide him through to letting this event be a reality. And it was an awesome reality.
So, Mr. Bowman, talk to us about Saturday night. You were at the helm of this in terms of organizing it and pulling it off, yourself and Fitzgerald Palace.
My sister Carol. It was a lot of people. My sister Carol, Stance, Darla, and my young 16-year-old son who designed the logos and designed everything.
Guys, look at this. I mean, this is just one of the plaques that
yeah,
were
that's just
given
one
out.
of the plaques that we still got someone didn't pick up.
Wow.
So describe for us Saturday night from your perspective.
It was amazing. I didn't expect it to be so beautiful and great, but the sponsors and everything that came aboard and the people that showed up, it was amazing. It was a packed room. It was so beautiful.
We know that we have Mr. Holiday that was given his flowers, but there were many other persons
yes,
as
you
well.
have. We get to see the Miguels. Yeah, Jan was there. Rudy was there. Mr. Hutchison was there. You have Eugene King.
I even saw Miss Rosito.
Yes.
She was just here with us last week.
Yes.
I mean, I think it really highlights that we have, I mean, when we think of cycling now here in Belize, there are very few women that we see being involved in the sport. Yeah. But what was it like back in the day when you guys were invested in it?
All that time, the ladies thought cross country was in the 1990s, I think it was.
Yeah, and this was well after our time.
And we, yes. I was 83.
Wow.
83 and 81.
So we're looking at honoring those who are alive, who have contributed to cycling. I mean, whenever we look at the past, it's always, I think it's unavoidable, it's inevitable that we have to reflect on the time in between, what has happened since then. When you guys look at what you guys have contributed to cycling, what crosses your mind when you see where cycling is now? Has there been many changes, or? That's a
very open-ended question, Sabrina. and we'll begin by saying that with Mr. Oswald Bowman Bike Chat, his goal for his chat is to create actionable items that we could implement to make cycling better in Belize. We're just saying that our goal moving forward, there's dreams that has come out of the relationship. We want a velodrome in Belize, a cycling velodrome. We want to see a cycling museum in Belize. We want to promote the kids to go to higher levels. If they have the dreams, we want them to bring it to pass, right? Because we haven't had any Belizean go to the Olympics for cycling in the last couple of Olympics, when in the past it was a stable of us participating. So we want to change that. But if you give me a moment, I just wanted to thank some folks that make this happen, because I live in Texas, he live in New York, but on the ground in Belize, his sister Carol Bowman, she was awesome. And then you know, Mr. Stephen Bissett Fitzgerald, we're talking about Palace. They did a lot of lifting in Belize. Andrew Ordonis, right? So Miss Deborah Ordonis, I don't know if you saw the pictures of the place, but Miss Deborah Ordonis, she's the one that made that place come alive, right?
Beautiful. She did a great job.
For the plaques, we're talking about Morales trophies, future innovations. Awesome work. The music on Saturday night, the food was good. The staff of the Ramada, they went above and beyond to accommodate us, right? Channel 5 for having the guys on.
Yeah.
You guys help increase the ticket sales because that's
Yeah.
very important. The goal of this was to fund. We fund cyclists in Belize at different levels, different events, but the goal is to take it to another level of funding. And so that was one of the goals of this event. We didn't get as much sponsors as we had expected, especially from the big businesses, but we understand that they don't know who we are. But now that they've seen what we could do and the potential for honoring people, because we got to give honor to who honor is due. And we were sitting in the waiting room, and nobody knew who Kenrick Doc Holiday was. 4-time cross-country champion, living legend, and we just want to make sure that people understand that where we are in cycling now, there are people who have paved the way, and we need to be thankful, right? Speaking of thankful, Mr. Frankie Alcazar and the Super Freeway Band, you know, coming in the height of their tragedy and still coming out and giving the people what an awesome night, right, beautiful. From the music side. And we're talking about Miss Karen Rosito and Miss Leticia Westby, who did an awesome job hosting the event as the MCs. So we were just Dr. Michael Pitts. Amazing. He did the majority of the individual ticket sales. So we're just so thankful. Colin Murillo, Mark Arrington, Billy Kemp, Kaya Steele, Mr. Frisco. I mean, it was interesting because the band was good, and then when Mr. Frisco came on, it went to a higher level. So we're thankful. And then the sponsors. The sponsors, the list goes on. But we are thankful for everybody's contribution to a splendid night.
Then for the sponsors, the giveaway sponsors was a gift certificate for electronic items, dinner for two at Chongsan Place in Belize City. Then you have for the legend, we had giveaway for the legend. We have dinner for two, Berzal sponsors. Overnight for two, Baltimore Plaza with breakfast. Then we had one health checkup package, cancellation with specialists, and those was a giveaway for the legends.
Wow.
So we have giveaway for the cycling fans, and we had giveaway for the legend. Then we have the sponsors. You have Creme, Angelos Press, Brother Habet, Full Tech System, Belize Baltimore Plaza, Belize Medical Associate, Chongsan Place, Berzal, Currency Group, Atlantic Insurance, Belargo Enterprise, M&M Engineer, Santino, Castillo, Aero Dispatch Service, National Bank of Belize, Love FM, Mr. Alvin and Mrs. Carr, Mr. Shamba Dominguez, Bonus Mejia, Carolyn Mosiah, and Dr. Pitts.
Wonderful.
Those are the sponsors.
All right, so before we go, I'd like to get from Doc Holliday his take on how cycling has grown in Belize over the decades since you were once on the cycling circuit.
Well, the beauty with cycling right now, the one thing I saw which is great, the cycling of today, everybody have opportunity to good bicycles, good equipment. In our time, you have a few people who was privileged to have good bike. I couldn't complain because I had good bike. But say out of 75 people, maybe have 15, 20 that have very good bike.
Like professional cycling bikes?
Yes.
So the others would be riding what type of bikes?
They were second used bike that they fixed up and stuff like that. But now everybody have a state-of-the-art nice bicycle. Some of them even they pretty up, but they're not even riding. You know, but it comes a long way. And in the ways of exercising, I think they're not doing it to the excess level to throw yourself out on the edge to get the condition. They do it in a more relaxing sort of ways, and to me, it's not right.
So they're not pushing themselves hard enough as
you
they
have
could
to,
be?
Yeah, you have to push yourself to the limit to get maximum out of yourself, because you have to prepare yourself for what you don't know coming.
Conditions.
Condition-wise.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah.
I saw that the Minister of Sport was also present. Has there been any conversations about further investment in cycling? Because, as you guys mentioned, this isn't a one-off event. You guys are planning to have more events like this, and the proceeds from the event supports other people that are also aspiring to be professional cyclists.
Yes, on this event, that's what we wanted to do on our first visit. But because we didn't have the sponsorship that we wanted for the event, we didn't make a profit to do that. We ended up at a loss.
Okay.
So I was hopeful the next time the bigger sponsors could come aboard, so we could have funds to do and bring along and help provide younger cyclists with help.
And Sabrina, to your question, first of all, I want to commend the minister, because the minister, Ferguson, has to my knowledge, the biggest portfolio as far as area representative to cover, right? So he has a lot to do there. And then when it comes to youth, transportation,
and sport.
And sports, that's big ground to cover. But he made the time to be here and honor these legends. And we're thankful for him for doing that. And he didn't just come. He actively participated in seeing these guys get the awards that they deserve. Now, one of the things two things that he mentioned that we think is going to affect cycling and sports in Belize in the future is the relaunch of the app, where people at home and abroad can give specifically to sports in Belize. I mean, sports in Belize, sports is what took me outside of Belize, right? So it's important that we give back to the youths. And the second initiative is, and I don't know if it's implemented yet or it was future casting, but giving sponsors opportunity to get a tax break for giving more to sports. So those are two initiatives that I heard and know is working on to allow sports, cycling and sports, to continue to grow in Belize.
How do you gentlemen, as part of the diaspora, see this vision for the construction of a velodrome in Belize with the input of others in the diaspora as well?
So this is one of the things that SEC comes to my Bible study via Zoom, and a lot of folks from Belize come to my Bible study. One of the things that we teach people is you declare a thing and it is established, right? Because once you declare a thing, people come to your aid to make it happen. I just read a whole list of names that when he said he wanted to do something to honor the living legend, we had no idea where it would come from. So as far as the velodrome, as far as the museum, the cycling museum, and hopefully a sports museum in Belize, because one of my knack in cycling was that I never trained. I was always playing softball or soccer or volleyball, so sports is integral to the development of individuals and the future of the community. So we have to support the sports, but by vision casting, declaring what we want to see to come to pass, then we understand that the rest is up to the people that could follow that vision to come together to make it become a reality.
All right. Well, gentlemen, this has been a wonderful conversation. We want to say a huge congratulations to you guys again. And as we wrap up, I'll ask if you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers. We could begin with you.
Well, yes. Where's the camera? I just want to say...
That's your camera,
I just want to say thank God for allowing this event to be received the way it was, especially by the attendees. There were some hiccups, but the people gave us a lot of grace. And it was a lot of work, but we are thankful for God's hand making it the awesome event it was for the folks that were there and the awardees.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone that helped, especially my sister Carol and Palas, that was the foot guys here in Belize. I want to thank all the sponsors. Without the sponsors, we could not have got it done. Ms. Ardones for fixing up the place, let it look so pretty. It was beautiful. Thank you, Mr. Ardones, and we try this again next year. And thanks to Channel 5.
Thank you, too. Mr. Holliday?
Say thanks for a great night.
Yes.
Celebration,
right?
Night. Yes. That's a great
memorable night.
It was
Wonderful.
beautiful. Beautiful.
Wonderful. Well, gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us, and we can't wait to see what else you guys will be pushing out in the coming year.
Thanks for having us.
It's only the start, so.
Yes, thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, the conversation switches into the journey of Tribe Fitness Club and all the events they have in store for you guys this year. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And I'm a teacher and I bank with Belize Bank Independence Branch. What I enjoy is to see if the features that the app offers. I have a sense of not having to worry or be concerned about somebody finding my password and username to sign in the application because of the use of the one-time password. And another feature that I love, that I use the most, is how the app synchronizes with my fingerprint on my device. I enjoy the rapid and easy, seamless process to apply for loans through the Belize Bank, and I don't have to be having too much back and forth to visit or take time to visit the bank. They also start to offer the online applications through the app for loan applications, which I believe is very neat. I would definitely recommend Belize Bank to other teachers because one of all the features and advantages that the app offer with these online that Belize Bank offered is basically everything that you can do in the palm of your hand. So I would definitely recommend the bank to other teachers.
Honda Navi, a partner you can rely on. Benquip, equipment, parts, service.
Coming up, these chefs and mixologists produce their creative best for their biggest party yet. This steel band has been making a difference for over 40 years. An island filled with beauty, a vibrant culture, and an iconic natural attraction. Now, where can this be? It's all next on this station.
I'm connected. Yo.
I'm connected.
We're connected.
Create the perfect broadband bundle that fits your style with Smart Connect. With the Junior Bundle, get 50% off your national calls and up to 6 gigabytes of data at no extra cost. Get postpaid added on for an additional cost of only $25 with the Prime Bundle. Stay connected with unlimited smart-to-smart calls plus 6,300 megabytes of data and free international minutes. For the family, Get the Binge Watchers bundle with Netflix add-on for only $28.13 more. This bundle gives you 4 profiles with unlimited streaming on multiple devices. Visit a showroom near you to sign up and personalize your own bundle combination with Smart Connect. Smart, bringing people together.
Welcome back, guys. This is our final conversation this morning, and as we mentioned, it's all about Tribe Fitness Club and their involvement in fitness. We understand that they're based in Ladyville here in Belize District, but we have here with us Orlando Che, and he's the coach representing Tribe Fitness Club. Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Now, I have to say, the moment I learned that there's something like this available so close to us in Ladyville, I immediately said, great, we need it. Talk to us about what Tribe Fitness Club is and how it differs from a regular gym.
Okay. All right. Good morning. Thank you for having me here. Tribe Fitness Club, we've been open since August of last year, so we're relatively new. Again, as I was telling you before, I found it surprisingly, it was a surprise for me to know that in Ladyville there wasn't any type of gym, right? But my club is not your typical standard gym. That's why it's called Fitness Club. It's a club that you become a part of.
Yeah.
And so I decided to bring that to Ladyville. I saw the need for it. I spoke to some people that I grew up with in Ladyville. I grew up in Ladyville, and they said, well, bring it here. And I took the opportunity to do so, and now we're here.
What has that been like in terms of taking this concept, introducing it to Ladyville, and building the club?
Well, everyone is into fitness. Everyone is, and we're trying to promote a healthy lifestyle. We want people to be healthy. So everyone embraces that. You know, they're glad that there's somewhere they can go to. I mean, I know they have gyms in the city, but now that we're in Ladyville, they're like, okay, it's closer to home, like you said, so it's easier for them. They don't it takes away that travel time having to come to the city, so they just stay there in Ladyville.
I want to get a breakdown of how this differs from a conventional gym where you kind of show up, do your own equipment, and then you leave. What's the concept of Tribe Fitness Club?
Right, we're a group, our classes are group sessions, so I lead the class. We do our warm-ups to get you ready for the session. We do a 40-minute, 45-minute workout, and then after that we do our cool-down stretches as a group. As a group, it's more motivating. There's the support from the club members, so it's all interactive, and it's also fun at the same time.
So when you say you do a workout together, what are the type of workouts that we're seeing? Because do we have no equipment at all?
No, we have some equipment. We just don't have the big heavy equipment like your typical gym.
Like the machinery
right,
type.
like the big heavy machines, because we do a lot of body weight, light dumbbells, barbells, different medicine balls and bands and stuff like that. Small gym equipments, and again, it's like you said, you don't just walk in and. Your typical gym is you walk in and you'll have to figure out what to do.
You figure it out on your own if you don't have a
trainer. Right. Whereas here, that's not the case.
Okay.
I'm there to lead the class. You come in. We have classes in the morning and classes in the evening. So whichever class you signed up for, you get to class and we start and finish within the hour.
As a coach, as someone involved in this kind of activity, how important is it for people to take health and fitness seriously?
It's very, very important. We have a lot of sicknesses in this time nowadays. There's rampant sicknesses, different sicknesses that are happening. Just the fact that you have a flu. If your immune system is strong, you can battle that much better than if your immune system is weak. I'm not saying I don't get sick. I also do get the flu, but it's not as I see people. They go 5 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I had a club member last month. She missed not because it was December, but because she said she had flus for almost the entire month. I'm like, whoa, that is serious. you know. So you have to get into that healthy lifestyle so that it can help, you know.
Yeah.
One of the biggest feedback I've seen and heard from people is that there's also kind of like a sense of gym anxiety that people have. They don't want to go to the gym because they don't want to be seen.
Right.
And when we think of working out with a group, do you have sometimes persons having that hesitation of not wanting others to watch them?
Yes.
What do you say to them?
Well, before I get to that, I do also offer personal training, private sessions. There are some people like that I don't want to go in the group session, but can you know, do a one-on-one with me? I welcome that as well. I do that during the course of the day. But with persons that start off by telling me something like that, you know, I tell them, come try the class first. You know, I know they're not comfortable in that group setting, but when they come the first time and they get the feel of the energy
of community,
right, it changes their mindset, you know. Then they're like, okay, I'll do the group sessions better.
So you have in the morning and in the evening,
right.
Is it a case where you don't have to be a certain fitness level to join?
No.
Because some people might be intimidated and feel like they can't keep up.
No. My classes are, it doesn't matter what your fitness level is. It doesn't matter what your age is.
Okay.
Everyone is able to do my classes. If I'm doing a particular workout that you can't do, or if it's too difficult for you to do, I'm always showing you the modified versions. So we could have someone here that's very fit doing it perfectly, you know, whereas we can have someone else that is taking their time doing the same movements, but they're still getting in that workout. So,
do you find that persons who subscribe to your gym are in it for the long haul, or do you find perhaps a high turnover in terms of persons who come in?
Well, I encourage everyone to do it for the long haul. You know, it's a lifestyle, right? Because some of them come to me and they're like, I'm gonna do it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, you know, and when they're in that time, they realize that, you know, you can't get fit in 1 month time, you know. So, and again, with the community and the motivation and the support in the group sessions, it becomes a family. So you want to be a part of this club now. So
I love that you mentioned that sometimes people go in thinking that they can achieve the results, their desired results, in as little as a month.
Right.
Because there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to fitness and even fat loss and weight loss. When we think of fad diets that also accompany that, people think that they can eat one almond and survive throughout the day.
Right.
How important is nutrition? Do you speak to your clients about nutrition as well?
Very important. Nutrition is very important. I keep telling my members, you have to eat. All right. You can't start a program, because I do get that sometimes, where some people would come and they would say, oh, okay, I'm only going to eat 1 time a day now because I really need to lose weight. I'm like, no, don't do that. You know, it's very important. Actually, nutrition is far more important than coming in and doing an hour workout a day. If you're not watching what you're eating throughout the course of the day, you know, it won't help. So I encourage them. You know, we offer meal guides, meal plans. We talk about nutrition, and again, I encourage them to eat. You know, especially if you're going to do an intense workout, it's important that you fuel your body to be able to do that workout.
How do you see your program and the entire club itself tying in with other associations that also prioritize health and wellness? For example, like the Kidney Association that we oftentimes see come on the show, talk about the impacts of kidney disease, but also ensure that we have that conversation of health and wellness, like mobility, like proper diets. Is there any possibility of us seeing partnerships and collaborations with the club?
Right. And that's why I'm here, actually. I'm here because December 29th, I did a 10-mile run event from the club all the way to Hallova Bridge and back. It's an annual event that I've been doing in Orange Walk before I brought it here to Ladyville. A 10-mile run. All right. I work with the Kidney Association of Belize. Miss Anna was supposed to be here this morning with me, but she couldn't make it. And what we do for that event is that all proceeds from the registrations from the participants, we identify someone from the community, and we would give them the monies to assist them with their dialysis session.
Oh.
Right. So, and then of course the Kidney Association, they're out there to promote kidney health, how to live with kidney disease as such. So that's a collaboration that I've been having with the Kidney Association from about 2018, 2019, that we've been working together.
How important is that partnership for you?
It's important for me because I am promoting health and wellness. I am trying to encourage people, you know, to take care of their body. You know, your kidney. If you can't, that's one organ you can't live with.
Yeah.
My mom is on dialysis, right? She had polycystic kidneys. She doesn't have diabetes. She doesn't have any other conditions. Her kidneys just stopped working after some time. So now she's on dialysis, right? So these are the things that we need to teach people, right? It's not just that, okay, you have an underlying condition, but there are other things that could happen, but it's always good to try to live a healthy lifestyle so you can, you know, try to avoid getting into that point.
Excellent. I mean, looking at the time frame that you said the club is available, you mentioned morning and evenings.
Right.
Is there a particular time that you have to come in? Do you have to call to register? And what's the fee associated with it?
Our morning class is at 5 a.m.
Ooh, bright and early.
5 a.m. And surprisingly, that's the class that has the most
really?
Members. I love it.
I love that.
I love that. 5 a.m. Originally, I wanted to do a 5:30, but they're like, no, 5 works best for them. Gives them enough time to get back home and get ready for work.
And it's
school.
1 hour.
1 hour.
Okay, so 5 to 6.
By 6, we're done. You're out from there, and you can go and start your day. And then I also have 5:30 in the evening and 6:30 in the evening. So there's 2 sessions in the evening.
Okay. And do you have to call ahead to register?
Right. You can contact me, 629-6234. We have our Facebook page up, Tribe Fitness Club. You can also go there. I post videos of our class sessions, so you can see that there. And you can contact me through there as well.
Okay. And is there a fee associated with being a member?
The fee is $100 a month.
Okay. And do you have certain classes that you get, or do you have access to everything? You can come 3 times for the day if you want.
Well, depending on the amount of members that are in the class at that particular time. Usually right now, you can still, if for example you couldn't make it in the morning and you want to make up in the evening, that's not a problem. If you want to do morning and evening, you just have to let me know so that I can let you know which class has
the space.
Right, exactly.
Right. 5 days a week?
Mondays to Friday.
Monday to Friday.
And then Saturday mornings, I have members that are into running, that love running, so we go on a morning walk, jog, run on Saturday mornings.
No excuses,
we don't,
man.
Right, 6 days.
Excuses.
No excuses.
Especially for persons who are dedicated to making 2025 their year of becoming healthier.
Right.
I love that we have persons like yourself that come on the show and show us that it is accessible.
Right.
Especially in somewhere like Ladyville, where we haven't seen any fitness centers so far.
Right.
This is an opportunity that I have to say kudos to you for taking advantage of. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
As we wrap up the conversation, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers?
For the event that I did on December 29th, I would just like to say a huge thank you to the sponsors, the people that came out and made the event possible. The Honorable Dolores Balderramos, she was also there presenting the runners with the medals. Everyone that registered got a finisher's medal. We had the Atlantic Insurance Company, Wild Dog Food, Crystal Water, and Powerade. We also got the Chemical Specialties of Belize. They were also supporting our event, so thank you to them for making the event possible. And I would just like to encourage everyone, you know, find a gym, find somewhere that you can go out and do your workouts. And this is an event that we're looking to do every year. So we want to do it again next year. So I couldn't have made it here to promote it before the day of the event, you know, because of the Christmas. So Monica she told me, well, I can come after the event. So I said I'll take advantage of that as well.
All right.
So thank you, Channel 5, for letting me come even after the fact.
No problem.
That's absolutely no problem. Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alrighty, that does it for this conversation. We got to take our final break, but when we come back, we wrap things up. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'm connected. Yo.
I'm connected.
We're connected. Create the perfect broadband bundle that fits your style with Smart Connect. With the Junior Bundle, get 50% off your national calls and up to 6 gigabytes of data at no extra cost. Get postpaid added on for an additional cost of only $25 with the Prime Bundle. Stay connected with unlimited smart-to-smart calls plus 6,300 megabytes of data and free international minutes. For the family, get the Binge Watchers bundle with Netflix add-on for only $28.13 more. This bundle gives you 4 profiles with unlimited streaming on multiple devices. Visit a showroom near you to sign up and personalize your own bundle combination with Smart Connect. Smart, bringing people together.
My name is Hermain Vega. El Patio Grill has been using Belize Bank for over 25 years. We only use Belize Bank at our restaurant. That's why we were able to win this trip to Europe. I had never been to Europe. We found out it was Madrid and we were excited and we went to this football match. The teams reached before the game and everybody was just outside, You can't explain. The noise just roared like 3 blocks down the street. But when you got in there and you saw 70,000 people in there, that was amazing. I couldn't believe it was happening. I had to pinch myself to make sure it was real, because it's a one-in-a-lifetime experience, I'd say. My lucky plus one was my son. He's 18 years old, so he was really excited and he enjoyed it as well. He said it's his best trip ever, so it's a priceless experience that we got. Belize Bank has always been there for me. Whatever transactions or whatever I need to do, they're always there for me. I would recommend everybody to use Belize Bank. It's the oldest bank in our country and they continue to do their best.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
Welcome back and thank you for sticking with us. We had A fabulous show this morning, excuse me, this morning, Isani. And of course, we want to say a huge thank you to all of our guests who joined us. Starting off in our first conversation, it was all about the impact and recovery behind the holiday season. And that's a conversation I think that will never get old, regardless of holidays past. It's always important for us to talk about health and wellness and include mental wellness in that conversation. So a huge thank you to Dr. Susanna Hoy Mitchell, who spoke to us about ways that we can prioritize our mental well-being this 2025. Some of the practices that she recommended, something as simple as being present for just 10 minutes in the day. Isani, you recommended doing that as you wake up in the morning to kind of take it out of the way and you don't have to try to fit it in your schedule. I know a lot of times when we think of just taking a moment for ourselves after the day has started, it feels almost impossible, especially when we think of parents, working people, but to just kickstart your day with 10 minutes of meditation and mindfulness can really propel you to having an even better day throughout the day as well.
When you think of starting your morning right,
I love that. I love
taking
the fun there.
10 minutes before you get your day started, for me, works best. Because when you're looking at presence of mind and being in the here and now, what better way to do that than when you open your eye? You start to think, okay, what am I seeking to achieve today? What is my place in all of what's happening around me? And so once you have that quote-unquote situational awareness, you're then able to move in a particular direction that would allow you to accomplish the things that you set out to do.
Make no mistake, though, I know that for a lot of people this might be challenging when we think of sitting and really thinking of nothing, or for others who might just want to sit in the silence that is around them and prepare themselves mentally. For a lot of people, as Dr. Susanna mentioned, who might struggle with anxiety, it's really difficult to just quiet your mind. And so perhaps just that act of being very intentional can pave that way for it becoming easier later on. So don't be frustrated about the idea of that process being challenging on its own. It will get easier the more you practice it. But into our other conversation that we also had, it was sort of a recap of the Night of Cycling Living Legends. And we had the folks, the organizers, and even Mr. Holiday, who is a cycling living legend in his own right, on the couch with us, talking to us about what that event looked like. And of course, continuing the conversation where investment in sports and even in cycling is concerned. Now, Isani, I know that Mr. Holiday, he comes from the 70s, his involvement in cycling, but when you see living legends in their own right being honored, knowing that you also would have perhaps seen some of these very same figures in sports, what comes to your mind recognizing that they're getting their flowers now?
Well, it's high time, right? It's always high time for us as a society to recognize the people who have made outstanding achievements or contributions, should I say, in various areas. In this particular discipline, it's cycling we're talking about. But you could look at musicians, for instance. You could look at politicians, teachers. The point that I'm making is it's always the right time for us to be able to recognize those who either have come before us or those who are presently doing their thing and are doing so in an outstanding manner that pushes society forward.
I think this is where the conversation of having a museum of cycling, as Mr. Kut-Kelvin mentioned, could be beneficial for us to ensure that these names are recognized even beyond their time. Because, for example, I represent the later generation that might have not known the impact that Mr. Holiday had in his time of cycling. I imagine many other young people way after me might just see him as a regular Belizean, but those who know him and what he was able to achieve in his period of being in this sport, this discipline, they might look at him as one of the legends, as we mentioned.
Well, and this is just my perspective here. Cycling in Belize, growing up as a child, you had radio, you had television, and then you had the actual experience of going out to spectate. And so the the coverage of cycling in these various forms back then, even if you did not know who the individuals were,
you heard
just the
their names.
mention of their names on radio, right? Call it Bunas Mejia, Doc Holiday, this one, that one, the Choto brothers, and so on and so forth. It rings and resonates. So that experience of actually seeing them crossing the finish line, in this case at the Marion Jones, for instance, right? Those are moments where you have to be able to accept and appreciate what these people have given, right? And to give them those flowers while they're still alive, it's the ultimate thank you. You can't do nothing with it once you're done dead, right?
Yeah, very true. And finally, and this is going to also be a conversation that rings throughout the year. We spoke about mental health, but physical health is also equally important when it comes to taking care of our bodies, when it comes to preventing non-communicable diseases as well. And so we had a Tribe Fitness Club joining us this morning and talking about that availability to persons living in Ladyville. And this one's for people who would also perhaps benefit from having a community as well. And so kudos to them for providing this resource to those in Ladyville and even outside. I know the neighboring villages would also benefit from this. If you're interested, they do have their social media pages, so hit up Tribe Fitness Club and get moving this 2025. Well, that does it for our show, Isani. As we mentioned, it's been a jam-packed but also fantastic conversation all around. But it is January 6th, and if you're celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to ya. And if you'd like to give a birthday shout out, or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. You can also catch us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, as well as Instagram for behind the scenes contents at OIE Belize. Thank you so much for joining us, and please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes
to start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open.
Have a wonderful Monday. Bye.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.